Hello, Doctor Who fans, and welcome to welcome to a Who Universe special here. This special, I'm here to kind of put out I wanted to sort of put a discussion going because of the fact that, well, the 60th anniversary is coming up for Doctor Who, and more importantly, we're kind of coming to the point where we're kind of getting to the point where it's good to discuss about this stuff because, obviously the BBC is going to be putting out some plans soon to how they're going to celebrate the anniversary, not only by scheduling the new episodes, but also in terms of whether or not they've got classic Doctor Who episodes planned to be repeated for the 60th anniversary, because this is the one thing that a lot of fans are going to be curious about, is whether BBC will show any classic Doctor Who during the 60th anniversary. Will there be any classic episodes be rerun? Are they going to be commissioned for BBC4 potentially this year? Well, I thought we'll kind of discuss about when we could potentially, should we see these classic episodes make an appearance on the BBC4 channel? When can we expect them to transmit for the 60th anniversary? When can we expect this sort of potential Doctor Who marathon to take place for the 60th anniversary? Well, let's get into the discussion, shall we? So make sure to like and subscribe, and let's begin. So, potential possibilities in terms of how in terms of how we could expect some sort. Well, I guess you could call it a marathon potentially, because this could be seen as a marathon potentially, as as you may, because of course the marathon is what we're going to potentially call this, considering this is the 60th anniversary. What would be the earliest time to start a potential Doctor Who marathon of classic repeats leading up to the new 60th anniversary episodes? Well, I think it all depends on how many classic Doctor Who we're going to see in the 60th anniversary, because I mean, we don't know entirely how many classic Doctor Who we're going to be, would be shown on BBC4 and how long they're going to show it for. But I think my assumption would be that they would have at least, I would say at least a couple of episodes, not like a large portion. I would say maybe a couple of episodes here and there, I would say. Obviously, The Unearthly Child is one of the stories that is likely to be reshown, because I mean, The Unearthly Child, it'll be and this is another reason why they're going to probably show it, is because, obviously by the time we get to November, it'll be exactly 60 years since the Underwater Menace was first seen on BBC television. So, of course, it makes sense for them to reshow that. Maybe colorize it, maybe, considering there's been a little bit of discussions about colorized Doctor Who lately. So, there is a possibility there that they could colorize these episodes for a colorized transmission. If they want to go that far, then they could. So we could see a potential of colorized Unearthly Child potentially coming to BBC4 in the 60th anniversary, which would be a really nice treat for the fans to see the episode in color for the very first time in 60 years, which is going to be crazy. Now, in terms of other stories that we could potentially see for the 60th anniversary, or should be shown during the 60th anniversary, I personally believe this would be a good opportunity for the BBC to show the Enemy of the World. Obviously, the Enemy of the World, because obviously they've had the episodes back for 10 years now. They said they didn't have plans to reshow it during the 50th anniversary, so I think it seems like the perfect time for them to just reshow, or basically show these episodes for the first time on a BBC channel in over, like, what, 50, 60 years, how long it's ever been since the original broadcast. I think it makes perfect sense that after years of wait, I think they should show the episodes from, for the first time since their original broadcast. They get a rerun on BBC4. I think that would be really, really nice if they went down that path. The same with Web of Fear as well. I think the Web of Fear definitely, when I say Web of Fear, I'm referring to the episodes that do exist of Web of Fear. So episodes 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. These are the episodes that they can show. Episode 3, however, they're not going to be able to show that because, well, it's not going to look good if they show a telesnap, is it? So they're going to have to show the episodes they can show rather than an episode they can't. Um, Now, it would be really cool to see them, for them to show the Power of the Daleks animation. I mean, will they be able to show it? I think they should. I think they should go ahead and show it. It's been over 60 years since the well, it's going to be roughly, well, it's been roughly past 60 years since the very first regeneration. So I think it makes perfect sense that they should show the Power of the Daleks animation, and they should show the entirety of those 6 episodes with the animation intact, because obviously that's the only way you can watch them. So hopefully the Power of the Daleks will be a part of this bunch. I hope. I think that would be incredible to see that. The smugglers, of course, we already know they're getting colorized, so there's a possibility there that they're going to probably show the smugglers for the 60th anniversary. So at least we know one story that BBC could be looking at bringing to a BBC4 channel to potentially re-show in colorized form, which is there's a possibility there. Space Pirates, I mean, it's a little bit hard because there's only one episode at this time. If there was more coming back, maybe, but yeah, I think it's going to be really tricky. I think that they would probably have to maybe, obviously, they're only going to have one episode to show for the Space Pirates at this time, which is fair enough. The Underwater Menace, again, you only got 2 episodes you can play around with, which is episodes 2 and 3. So unfortunately, they're going to be the only episodes they can show. They could re-show some of William Hartnell episodes, like the 10th Planet episodes 1 to 3. You could re-show the War Machine, because I think the War Machine hasn't been seen on BBC channels for a long time. So I think that would be really cool to see the War Machines get a showing in the 60th. And in fact, if they colorize that, that would be even cooler to see like a colorized War Machines in the 60th anniversary. I would be down to see that in the 60th anniversary. Why the hell not? And then you've got the possibility that they could show the colorized version of the Ark. There's another story there, the Gunfighters, another story they could play around with colorization. And then you've got the Daleks, the very first Dalek story, which I think will be very interesting to see what it would look like in color form. I mean, I think it would be really impressive if they do that. And then you've got the possibility of them playing around with the Ice Warriors, because they have got some episodes of the Ice Warriors they could colorize, that they could maybe re-show that. And then you've got, of course, the Tomb of the Cybermen, a very popular story that I think a lot of people would love to see colorized for the 60th. So there's a story there that we could potentially see. So as you can see, there's quite a few stories they could colorize and potentially show for the first time since their original broadcast. If they wanted to, they could go down this path. And not just William Hartnell and Troughton, you've also got stuff from Pertwee, Tom Baker's run, Peter Davison. I don't think they've repeated any Peter Davison stories as far as I'm aware, so there's an opportunity there. Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, the TV movie, I'm pretty sure has not been seen on the BBC channel for many years now, and I think that would be a really nice treat to see the TV movie show up for the 60th. I think that would be really nice. Yeah, so you never know. There's a possibility there that they could show the Paul McGann movie if they wanted to. And then, of course, you've got the option for them to rerun some of the RTD1 era of episodes. So we're talking like Christopher Eccleston and early David Tennant. So they could be re-showing episodes from the 10th Doctor if they wanted to prepare for David Tennant's return. They could show some of his episodes and some of his Christmas episodes to prepare for Ncuti Gatwa. I think that would be really nice, because they actually did that. They actually did repeat all of David Tennant's Christmas specials back in 2010. Even after Matt Smith's first Christmas special was shown, they were repeating his episode, David Tennant's Christmas special. So they could do that again for the 2023 Christmas on the BBC channel. I think that would be really nice to have some sort of a lead up towards Ncuti Gatwa's first story. I think would be really, really cool. If they were to plan that, then that would be really nice. So you have an opportunity there. They could show some Matt Smith episodes as well to celebrate his Doctor, and then obviously Peter Capaldi There's another Doctor they could re-show for the first time in a few years. So yeah, they've got quite a bit of Doctor Who content they could re-show during the 60th anniversary as well as Classic Who, but I think Classic Who would probably get the most mention in the 60th because of the fact that, well, they're going to be recognized in the past rather than the New Who stuff, even though the New Who stuff is going to get acknowledged anyway. Um, Now, in terms of when they could potentially start broadcasting, I mean, they could start it potentially. I mean, they could potentially start it as soon as like October if they wanted to. If they really want to get the build up going, they could start as early as like the 1st of October, 8th of October potentially. So in a way, this is how I would see it, right? So essentially, you could do like a Saturday build up to the well, the lead up to the first broadcast of the 60th anniversary. So obviously this could be their way of teasing, hey, Doctor Who's going to return on Saturday nights in November. So in a way, this is how they would potentially, or how I would see this happening essentially. So let's say, for instance, they planned the classic Doctor Who for the 7th of October on BBC4, right? That's the first day where they're going to do double bills of Doctor Who repeats leading up to the 60th anniversary, right? Wouldn't it be cool if they did? Yeah. So wouldn't it be cool if during those Saturdays we would essentially get maybe two, maybe three lots of classic Doctor Who to look forward to, maybe four classic Doctor Who's like they've been doing four repeats of Top of the Pops. They could do the same with Doctor Who, where we get an episode from the 60s. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you could do it this way. You could have like maybe an episode from the 60s, an episode from the 70s, episode from the 80s, and maybe an episode from the New Who. So then that way you have so you have different eras being represented in the Saturday evening slot for BBC4, which I think would be a really nice way to represent classic, or maybe do a whole weekend worth where they do a Saturday and Sunday repeats, which I think would be really nice. And then that way you basically do that for maybe a few weeks leading up to November, where you could basically, and then you could also show classic Doctor Who even when the new episodes are going to be transmitting. You could use BBC4 as a way to hype up classic Doctor Who content, whilst BBC One is showing the new Who content. So in other words, say for instance, if the 60th anniversary episodes start on the 4th of November, right? So in that way you essentially have the 60th anniversary episode alongside the classic Who on the same night, which I think would be really nice. And I think it would be really cool to see not only the 60th anniversary broadcasts on that day, but also classic Doctor Who on BBC4. So then you have two BBC channels honoring Doctor Who, because I mean BBC Two is probably going to re-show an Adventure in Space and Time. I have no doubt to believe they're going to re-show that for the 60th anniversary, because I love that documentary. That docudrama was amazing in the 50th, and I have no doubt to believe they're going to re-show it. I mean, yeah, so essentially you could do that leading up to, I mean, it could, depending if they do air it on the 4th of November, or they could save it for the 23rd of November. So essentially they start it on a Friday leading up to the Sunday, maybe, or maybe Thursday to Saturday. So 23rd, 24th, 25th of November could be the potential air dates for the 60th anniversary if they want to go down that path. But I mean, like I said, it all depends on when they air the 60th anniversary and how they want to build up towards it, essentially. But I would love that if BBC4 was to be doing like a weekend trilogy where they give us like four lots of classic Doctor Who on a Saturday and Sunday. I think that would be a really cool way to celebrate 60 years of Doctor Who, and it would be an opportunity for BBC4 to honor the classic run of the show, because I mean, like I said, BBC4 hasn't really shown that much classic Doctor Who over the last few years, so I think it would be really nice for them to show more of that. Considering it's 60 years of the show, I mean they're going to want to celebrate it in some way, so why not do a weekend where you show black and white Who as well as color Who, and a little bit of modern, a little bit of the last 20 years of New Who, essentially. So you could show what the last, well, basically show a little bit of New Who content as well as classic Doctor Who. So you get a mix of both celebrated on BBC4, and I think that would be really cool. Um, well, when I say New Who, I'm kind of referring to the episodes before obviously the episodes that have happened previously. So we're talking like David Tennant's 10th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston's 9th, Matt's 11th, as well as the 12th Doctor. Maybe the 13th, if they really want to re-show the power of the Doctor, for example, as a way to sort of lead up to the 60th. They could re-show that if they wanted to, but it all kind of depends if they want to, obviously. Um, so yeah, so like I said, these are kind of sort of my theories of, also my speculation in terms of when we could potentially, should they, not only what episodes they could show for the repeats for the 60th anniversary, but also when we could potentially see it, which would probably start probably October time. I would say next month seems like a good bet for like classic run episodes of Doctor Who, for them to show classic episodes as a way to sort of treat us in October, and I wouldn't mind that if they did that, because I think that would be really, really cool. But again, like I said, it all depends on whether they're going to do it or not, because I mean, we don't really know how BBC4 is going to celebrate the 60th anniversary. We don't know if they're going to show any Doctor Who for November yet or not, but I like to be hopeful they are going to use the channel for the 60th anniversary in some capacity, right? So I would like to assume there's going to be at least some repeated classic content of Doctor Who to be shown there. So hopefully we're going to see some repeats of Doctor Who to happen on BBC4 in preparation for the new episodes in November that will be shown on BBC One. But yes, so fingers crossed we're going to get some cool things to look forward to, hopefully. But there you go, really. That is pretty much that is pretty much my discussion in terms of when we could potentially see some classic Doctor Who for the 60th anniversary. But I want to hear from you guys. What classic Doctor Who episodes would you like to see get seen on BBC4? And also, when do you reckon, and also more importantly, when would you like to see them actually start broadcasting them, especially given the fact that the 60th anniversary is fastly approaching. We're slowly coming up to October already, so it's not even that long until we hit October. So it's only a matter of time until we start seeing, hopefully start seeing plans unfolding for Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, hopefully, and in terms of how they're going to broadcast these 3 new episodes, and more importantly, what BBC is going to do to celebrate the occasion across across most of their channels that are going to be honouring Doctor Who's 60th over the next 2 months. Hopefully, some good things are coming. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in another Who Universe special very soon, when we're gonna, we'll hopefully have a chance to discuss about hopefully some other cool topics as well. So see you then.